Oh, sure, yeah.
I look a lot community development, okay? Yeah. But what is the opportunity and the requirement analysis and the business analysis?
Is there opportunities?
He want to know what's required to apply for this kind of análise.
Análise de negócio, análise de requisito. Eu vejo que para programador, desenvolvedor tem muita vaga, mas para essas duas vagas específicas.
You want to know some position of like analysis, recruitment?
Requirements.
Yeah, and the other one is?
Analista de requisitos e analista de negócio.
Oh, business analysis. Yeah, and the other one.
That's great for business.
Yeah, relate more like between software development and business. He is like the bridge between
Business analyst.
yeah, project manager.
For sure. So we do a lot of work in that area as well. So project management and business analysts. We have a lot of clients that are looking.
Yeah, and he want to know more specifically like what he needs for working this position.
Yeah, what kind of skills?
Does he have experience in it already, or is it a new thing?
Você tem experiência já?
Em Brasil.
Okay, no, that's great. I mean, if you have, if you're getting into project management, it's good to take your PMP certification.
I don't have a PMP.
Okay, it's
No,
helpful.
I skill in PMP, but don't have certification PMP.
Okay. So he said,
Yeah, he don't have like the certificate and PNP, but he has a lot of experience on that.
yes, that's always like some clients really like to see PMP for project managers.
Yeah.
Some not as much. Like it just depends on the client.
Vai depender muito do cliente, mas seria bom se você tiver.
Não PMP, não gerente de projeto. Se aqui existe a vaga de analista de requisitos, então.
Tem.
E como que tem bastante vaga para analista de requisitos?
Do you know if you have a lot of position open for this area?
Business analyst?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Absolutely. We can. It's hard to translate.
Yeah. You're doing a good job.
Try.
So we're live here. Oi, todo mundo. We're live with people on the webinar, so it's going to be fun. Like I'm going to talk a little bit to the computer, and then
Virtual at the bottom.
yeah. So we should say hi, guys.
Hello.
This is Launch Academy. It's in Vancouver, on Hastings, in Cambie. Se você quer mandar qualquer dúvida, só pode fazer aqui no chat. Tem um chat, eu não sei se vocês estão vendo, mas pode perguntar aqui, eu vou ler e eu vou passar para o Jay. Então, você pode se apresentar? Sim. In English. No, in English. Yeah.
I'm trying, okay?
Yeah, please.
Hi, my name is Emerson. I'm from Brazil, Salvador, Bahia. I'm a full stack developer in Java, and I'm arriving in Vancouver to study English, improving my English, and maybe after the English, make a college in state.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Helen. Hi, Rafael. Hi, Bruno.
Yeah.
Ok, então tem algumas pessoas na internet, tem pessoas na vida real. Ok, vou falar em português rapidamente para todo mundo entender, né? Então, temos o grande prazer de ter o Jay aqui com a gente. Ele é o recruiter na empresa que chama Procom. É uma empresa de recrutamento com 30 anos de experiência aqui. Então, se você tem qualquer dúvida sobre como trabalhar no Canadá, ele vai apresentar as melhores dicas sobre quais vagas são abertas, como ser competente na entrevista. Ele vai falar muito sobre o que está disponível, como entrar em contato, como usar recruiters, aí algumas estatísticas sobre Vancouver e outros lugares do Canadá também. Então, se você tem qualquer dúvida, só manda um link aqui, mensagem aqui, and you guys, se vocês têm dúvidas. So we usually have really casual conversations, right? It's just two people chatting and then everyone in the room as well. So I guess we can start off. We talked a little bit about Procom. The next thing, maybe talk about how you got into the business. Just kind of what's your experience been?
So, sort of randomly, I got into this about 10 years ago. Worked for a company downtown here that's going to launch a technology side of the business. I helped grow that for them for about 3 years, and they're joined CoCom in 2008, and built that office up as well for them. And now we've got about 20 employees here in Vancouver working at CoCom, and we've got about 300 contractors that work for us at all different clients throughout Vancouver. And then we also do permanent placement as well, so we've got another, 10 or so people a month that we're replacing clients all over the country. Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, so we've got a pretty big customer base and a lot of consultants working for us in the technology sector.
So let's get right into it. Like, how do I become one of those 300 contractors or 10 people in place? What do I need to have to be able to get it done?
Well, I think, what everybody said, you guys are all on the right track. I think in Vancouver, what's really important to the clients is beyond just having the right technical skill set, is having really solid communication skills. I know a lot of you guys are talking about studying English and learning more about the Canadian culture and that sort of thing. I think that's going to be really important, and that's just going to allow you to get some Canadian experience and get your foot in the door. So I think if you continue to take classes, learn English, meet people like myself, and continue networking in Vancouver. I think having the personal contacts as well that can introduce you to different clients is really going to be important, because as you know, when you're just sending resumes in, it's really hard to have that communication. But if you can have someone like myself, or someone that knows you and has met you and can talk to the client and say, hey, I think you should meet this person, then you can get that face-to-face contact. And then going in there and having the high levels of communication skills and presentation skills will really help get you in there. Very cool. That's probably, for you guys, it sounds like you all have pretty impressive backgrounds in technology and know your stuff. So I think just the next step is just that the English and the communication skills. That's really going to be cool.
I know someone who can help.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Not really. Anyway, what about the visa? I mean, we all think about this. We're always worried. Visa, you need to work permits. It's a big worry. It's a big pain.
Yep.
How do employers see visas? Have you had an experience where anyone has ever hired someone from abroad with an LMIA?
Yep. Yeah. So we've had a few of that. I've had guys from Brazil. I've had guys from Russia, Ukraine. It makes it more difficult. I mean, if you're going up against someone in Vancouver who's either a permanent resident versus having to put a request out and wait months for paperwork and all that sort of stuff. With work visas, I find that employers are very open to that. If you have a working visa, especially if you're doing contract, clients don't seem to care at all. So if you have that, it's very helpful. It's basically the same as being a resident of Canada, I'd say, in terms of like your ability to get employed.
What about part-time jobs?
In terms of
Like
a lot of
contract
contracts,
it's harder to get a part-time job than a full-time job. And a lot of the way that you have to immigrate now is, in Chad and Eduardo's case, is doing college and only work 20 hours a week. How do I go about getting a part-time job? Is it the same thing, or?
Yeah, it is difficult, right? Because a lot of employers will be looking for a position to be filled for 40 hours a week, right? So there's only a very small percentage of part-time opportunities that do exist, but there's just a smaller market for it, and more competition for it. It just makes it more difficult for them.
So what about like remote work for contracting? Someone in northern BC or?
It's starting to happen a lot. Like, you're seeing clients becoming much more open to that, whether it's doing work in the evenings after school or on the weekends. So again, ideally they like having people on site, but as you guys know, especially in technology, it's pretty simple to work remotely these days, right? And you see clients starting to, companies starting to become more open to that. Fantastic. Cool. And I think that will just continue to be a trend as we go forward.
Speaking of trends, what are some trends you're seeing in the Vancouver tech space?
Sure. So a couple things. We've seen a lot of big companies from the U.S. starting to set up operations here. So as you know, like a year ago, we've got Amazon, General Electric came here, Next Issue Media came here. So there's a lot of companies in the U.S. starting operations in Vancouver. We're also starting to see a lot of startup development companies become successful and grow and grow and grow. And we've seen companies go from 10 to 20 to 200, 300 employees in Vancouver, which is really exciting. Software development space especially is really, really hot. We've had a lot of demand for .NET developers, web developers, all that sort of stuff. Seems like every single company is looking for those types of people right now. So we see mobile development as well is becoming quite a hot skill set too. So they're starting to call Vancouver like a mini Silicon Valley sort of. I don't know if you guys know that reference, but yeah. So it seems to be being in technology and being in Vancouver seems to be the right place to be. Yeah. It's actually the highest grossing industry in Vancouver right now. So you're in the right place.
Cool. Yeah. Maybe I'll just take a question from the internet. Rafael asks, he has a post-degree in international business, or so he's applying for a post-degree in international business in Toronto, and he'd like to know if it's a good market, and if he should do a 2-year college or not. So I don't know.
So Toronto being a market is it's a very, very big market. It's probably like triple the size of Vancouver. So there's lots of opportunities. There's lots more head offices. So there's a lot of like Vancouver doesn't have very many head offices, but most of them in Canada are all in Toronto. So you get like a lot of the big banks and all that sort of stuff. So there are more jobs there. Obviously, there's more people, and it's competitive as well. But I'd say if you're going to be in Canada, Vancouver, Toronto would probably be and Calgary. Not right now, Calgary, but to a certain extent, those would be the best 2 markets.
Ottawa, Montreal.
Montreal's not bad. Again, you have to speak French to be in Montreal to get employed. So then you learn another language. One's enough at a time, right? Ottawa is not bad, but it's all government work. So and you have to have a lot of experience in government to get in there. So it's a hard market to break into as a newcomer to Canada. So I think Vancouver and Toronto are probably the best two options. Very cool. So I think that's a good plan. And I mean, regarding the school question, it just depends on what he's looking to do with it.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Cool. Any questions for you guys?
How do you see the online advertising market here in Vancouver? Do you think that it's expanding, or do you think it's staying the same? Online advertising, Google, Facebook, YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, those all seem to be continuing to grow. Absolutely.
Yeah, because with all this development and mobile development, the companies need people to go to their sites, of course. So one market kind of brings the other with him.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I would agree with that.
What about certifications? Do you need a certification to get a job?
So that's a good question because like I have some clients that are just like, we don't care. We just want people with experience. And then I have other clients that are like, they have to have certifications. So I would say you can never go wrong getting one, but it's not always necessary. It's always it's not going to hurt you, I'd say. But so if you have the time and you feel like especially if it's a skill that is very specialized, I'd recommend going forward. It's good to stay, keep your skills sharp and continue to add sort of show that you're getting that certification done. So I'd recommend it, but not necessary.
I guess we can maybe jump in a little bit to the skills part of things.
Sure.
You mentioned a couple minutes ago different skills that are in demand. We have some .NET developers here, Java, etc. What skills are the most in demand, and also what do you think that people can do to upgrade their skills?
Sure. So I would say anything in development right now is pretty good. .NET is very hot. All the web development, front-end UI development, Java, mobile development, basically everything there. There's also demand for project management, business analysis. There's also demand for support people like systems administrators, network administrators, technical support. So all those areas are quite busy right now. And always in demand. In terms of upgrading, there's always certifications you can take that you just kind of mentioned there. And then just getting experience. And I think what will really help you break in the market is kind of what we touched on earlier, is just the communication skills and English and that sort of thing. So I've noticed too, I don't know why, but it seems like everybody I've worked with that's been Brazilian, they seem to pick up English very quickly.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that,
It's kind of Latin based.
is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
some a lot of.
Because I'll meet them and then 6 months later they'll be like 100%. So yeah,
Kind of.
Yeah,
I
Chiago's
have a
English is
question.
much better.
And about who has a lot of experience like me, I have some Microsoft certificates too, but my English is not so good. Is possible to try to find some position as a junior, or is some like not so good? Like I have 8 years of experience, but try to find something as junior.
I think you'd have trouble because you'll apply for a job and they'll look at it and just assume that you're overqualified, right? Which that's probably happening to you. So I think like what I was going to talk about, a little bit later or now is just that I think for people like yourselves that have that experience, it's just going to be meeting people in Vancouver in the technology scene, going to networking events and finding out who your clients are and introducing yourself to them, meeting people that can give you introductions to companies, and then continually working on your English skills. Because I'll tell you a story. I met a guy who just came here from Brazil about a year ago, and I met with him, and he's a UI developer, I think, and he, his English was like okay, but he was very nice guy, friendly, seemed to have a good attitude, had a lot of good skills, probably about like 8 to 10 years. And then I met him a couple months later, and his English was a lot better, and I had a position with one of my clients. And I was like, hey, you got to meet this guy. He doesn't have any Canadian experience, but he's got great background, and he's very personable. His English is really coming along, and they ended up hiring him, which was great, and he worked out well. And now I think he's making 6-figure job, and he's doing great. So I think it's just a matter of finding people that can get you in front of people. Because if you just put resumes and then they'll see like just has Brazil or something, they'll just immediately kind of assume that you're either not in the country and kind of look past it. So I think it's all about trying to find those personal connections. If that makes sense.
That's like a great answer, actually. Yeah. We're going to FitPlan tomorrow, so get ready. But it's a startup that Chiago likes. Okay, so there's a question kind of piggybacking from the internet. Nino asked, what about a Brazilian in Brazil, a Brazilian developer in Brazil who's still there? How should he go about, or he or she go about getting in touch with someone like you, getting in touch with a recruiter? Is it worth it? Should they wait until they have the work visa? Or
so I think it's if you're coming here and you're in the process of getting the visa, I think it's worth reaching out to people. It might be hard to get in touch with people because we get a lot of emails like that, so it's hard to kind of decipher. But if you can, clearly and concisely show that you're coming here and you have a timeline and these are your skills, and I'd like to meet you when I get to town. I think that would be good, and I've done that with people before that have messaged me, and then once they get here, we sat down and had a coffee and talked about opportunities. So I think to get it started wouldn't hurt.
Nino, I hope that that answers your question. Another question that we get from people who are still in Brazil is how can I, or even people who are here just arrived, how can they kind of get their foot in the door? What can they do to prove that they have experience and that they get Canadian, somehow get a Canadian experience with a volunteer job, or is that necessary, or should they wait?
That's, if you can get volunteer, I think just like as soon as you have that first Canadian job on your resume, you're pretty much set. Like whether it's volunteer or whatever it is, you just need to get that one. And if it's, especially if it's with a decent, well-known client or company in town, then you're good to go. So I think whether it's volunteering, whether it's maybe taking a slightly less job if you can make it happen, we'll definitely get you there. But I guess the question was, how do you meet people? How do you do that? So there's lots of, if you go into, you guys familiar with Tech Vibes? Yeah, I'm sure you are, yeah. So they always post like meetups and stuff like that. There's meetup.com, would you guys use that website as well? So anything technology based that's going on. There's different, any sort of events that are technology focused, I would go and meet people and talk to people, bring your resume, and then if that person can introduce to someone else, and et cetera, and et cetera, et cetera. It's not an easy thing to do, but, especially as just learning English, it's, going up to people and talking to them even when you are Canadian is still kind of nerve-wracking, right? So, I know it's a difficult thing, but I think that's going to be the key. And
awesome. Yeah, and that's a good way to train your English too, right?
yeah, exactly. And I think
So, anyway, another question is, what about a college degree? Like, you need to have a piece of paper that says you're graduated from X university.
sure. I think similar to the certification question is like clients usually say they want a bachelor's or whatever in computer science or something like that. But if you have the experience and people will hire you because you know what you're talking about. School is another one of those things. They're never going to say they don't want you because you have a degree. So it's always nice to have it, but I don't think it's like 100% necessary. You can still get it. I know lots of guys that just work, learn development and that sort of thing on their own, and now they're, either have their own companies or they've done really well in corporate world too.
Yeah, majority of that stuff you can learn.
Exactly.
Cool, Michael. I hope that answers your question.
About non-IT jobs, do I have valid Canadian experience too?
Pardon me?
About non-IT jobs here in
Oh, you mean just getting a job that's not IT?
Like clubs and restaurants.
Yeah,
Does it count as a Canadian experience?
Kind of like it will help. What I think it will help you most with, if you work at a bar or something like that, like is just interacting and meeting people. I mean, it's not going to be relevant to the job that you're looking for. And I would say if you're applying for jobs, I probably wouldn't put it on your resume, just because it, I don't know, you want to keep it specific to your skills. So I'd almost say, I mean, someone might tell you, this is just according to my opinion, would be just don't have that on there because it'll take away from all the good experience you have.
And I guess more, you want to try to say like if you do some volunteer job and something in the field maybe it can help. What do you think about volunteer?
Oh, absolutely. Like if you volunteer for a tech company or anything that can get, and then even if you're volunteering and you put that on your resume, but it was relevant to your background, then that would be great.
Yeah, for sure. So that's kind of what you're doing within Scholar, right?
Yeah.
With
Scholar.
How did you find it?
With yeah.
Oh, there you go. Is this guy? Okay.
So
That's good.
Okay.
yeah, I have one volunteer.
So I think that's awesome. I think that's great. If you guys can do that, I mean, better to get paid to work, but it will definitely help you get paid, right? So you're one step to the next thing.
And there's some hours in that weekend, so it's not a big
Yeah,
deal.
keep your skills sharp with these people. And
What about any advice to get that volunteer job? Should you maybe do some work for them? Just say, hey, listen, I saw this and I had this idea, or same
kind of thing. Yeah, you can be like, I'll work for, a month free to, prove myself, and maybe I've seen people roll over from volunteer work into getting off of jobs because they've done well.
Yeah. Maybe I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, you just gotta really hustle for the first little while.
Yeah.
I think if you just kind of, apply to things online and send your resume around, it's never gonna work. You gotta get out there.
How much time do you think one needs to work as a volunteer to really count on the resume?
I'd say even if you just even if it's 3 weeks, a month,
Yeah.
not long, but just a month of that you're at a place, and then you can get that, then put that on your resume, and especially if you're still volunteering there, and then you can try to start landing.
Yeah, because for the other company, it looks like you're employed.
Right, it still looks good,
It's
right?
all about the next company, right?
Because if you sent me that, I don't know that you're not getting paid, right?
Sure.
So you could just say I work at this company.
For 3 months and
Yeah, so I'd look and be like, okay, so he's in Vancouver, he's working for a company that I recognize, he's from Brazil, that looks good, right? Hopefully.
Awesome. Yeah.
So yeah.
Is there opportunity for home office work?
Oh, like working from home?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We're starting to see, you guys probably familiar with TELUS, pretty big company here. They have half their workforce now works from home. So you actually have to have it's the opposite now. You have to have a reason to come to the office, or you're not allowed to come to the office. So we're starting to see a lot of companies going that direction, which is good. You're able to save some money and on office space, and telecommuting. You really don't need to be in the office as much anymore, right? So for some jobs, so yeah, absolutely. Some people love it, right?
Yeah, I know.
In your pajamas.
Just working pajamas on a laptop all day, right? Yeah.
Now I work in my house. My job is in Brazil.
Okay. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's another good thing to do is if if you're still in Brazil and or you can get jobs in Brazil while you're in Canada.
Can work a year to
Pay your bills.
Yeah, that's good. And you can even put maybe on your resume you could put the company that you're working for in Brazil, and then put like Vancouver beside it, like you're in Vancouver. So it kind of like almost looks like you're working for a Vancouver company. You know, like it's kind of like a little. I don't know.
Jeitinho.
It might be. You're not lying. You're not lying.
Yeah.
So they'll be like, oh, Vancouver. Okay.
There's an expression in Portuguese, Jeitinho brasileiro. It's like the Brazilian way. It's like how do you get around some things.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah. It's, I guess universal.
Okay. Good.
Great question. One more. The office. And what about salaries? Just got a question from Lewis. Yeah, online, and I'm sure everyone's want to know what are the salary ranges, maybe for entry level.
Sure. Yeah. So like if we're, it kind of you could relate to like they're all very similar, like junior, intermediate, senior. So whether it's like a developer or a technical support person, usually salary wise, junior salaries will start probably around the like 45 to sort of 50,000 range. Kind of 55. Intermediate would be 655 to about 75. Now like starting to get competitive. Senior developers are getting paid 100,000, 110,000, 120.
Say senior, how many years experience?
Probably like 8 to 10. Yeah. So they're starting to, yeah. Like I remember the guy actually from Brazil who I was with his first job. I got in like 75, and I think now he's making 120,000 a few years later. So yeah. So
cool. Luis, I hope that makes sense. Hope it's clear. Okay, so we have about 20 minutes left. Sure. So just maybe we can go back to tips for getting a job. So we talked about how to get a volunteer job. What about like an interview? Like let's go through the whole process. So
sure.
I'm sitting there in front of my computer. I go to Indeed.ca. Let's say I'm a junior developer, an intermediate developer. I want to get a job in Vancouver. I have my work visa. What do I do?
Okay, so a couple of things you want to do with your resume. Like anytime you apply to any job, you should tailor it specifically to the job that you're sending it to. So don't have like one generic resume that you send around. So like let's say the job has like you're a .NET developer and the things you've done the most are those 3 skills, and they're looking for those 3 skills. So you want to make sure that resume like very, very clearly screams at them that you have all those skills. So you want to have that everywhere that you can. Of course, you don't want to like exaggerate, but if you have the experience, like put it everywhere. So it's very, very clear for the person to see. So I'll see like hundreds of resumes a day, right? So I look at them very quickly. So I like
how quickly? How many seconds per average?
I'd say like 10 seconds. So but like, and you'll see it, and you'll be like, okay, like when you look, like I'll be able to see within like a second if it looks interesting, because you're like, oh, okay.
So they're not creating resumes; they're creating landing pages.
Just about, yeah.
You often.
Yeah, almost. So you want to be very clear for those jobs. I think also if you do have a work visa and your resume is all experience from Brazil, maybe you can put on the resume like I have a valid work permit. I'm able to work for any employer in Canada. Like you can put that even under your address. If you have, I would try to make your phone number local if you have it. Yeah. So if you still have a number in Brazil, like it'll make it look like
Twilio for that.
Okay, yeah, because it'll make it look like you're still in Brazil. So I would use an overseas number. So
LinkedIn profile, right?
Pardon?
LinkedIn profile.
LinkedIn profile, yeah. I think that would be good to link it to, so they can check out your experience.
What about your personal website, like portfolio? Is that important to have?
I mean, it's again wouldn't hurt, but I don't think it's going to take a lot of time to put it together. I don't think it's worth it. Unless sometimes positions where you're doing, if there's websites that you've done and you want to put links to those, or if you're a mobile developer and you have published applications, it's good to put links to those as well. So I think one thing is just get the resume tailored to that position. Make sure that they know that you can work in Canada, and yeah, go from there. So that's step 1.
Okay. Format your resume.
Yeah.
Cool. So format your resume. How do I go about applying for jobs?
So I'm sure you guys are familiar with all the sites that you can apply to.
I don't think everyone knows.
Okay, so there's like monster.com, we'll have lots of things. Workopolis is another site for career builder, it's pretty big in Canada. PCTechnologyNetwork.com, TNet, you can just search TNet, I'm sure you guys have seen that, that's got all the jobs in Vancouver. I can send you a list of recruitment agencies that are in technology as well, and they'll have all their positions posted on their website, so I can get those to you guys. And then so some of those jobs might be the same ones that are posted as employers, but you can go through the recruiting side. And then, but that's the online strategy. Also, have you guys uploaded your resumes to those sites as well? Do you guys do that, yeah? So if you, yeah, so like it's good to, like our company, like we use that a lot, so we're always looking on Monster and Workopolis, and definitely make sure you have a good LinkedIn profile that's basically just has all the information that your resume has on it. Because like recruiters will do searches, so if I'm looking for a .NET developer, I'll put like .NET, C#, and I'll search in LinkedIn. So if you don't have all those skills listed, like it might not come up. So just make sure that you have all that on your LinkedIn profile, professional photo, but it doesn't have to be like, super tight, but just, a good photo. So that's, and then make sure your resume is like on all the sites as well. So, and keep that refreshed as often as you can. You might get picked up that way too.
Awesome. And then go out to meetups and talk about it.
Then I think that's kind of the online strategy. So if you're putting your resume everywhere you can, and you're online and like searchable for people like myself or employers, that's good. And then it's really just getting out there and hustling and meeting people and going to the events and looking for yourself. And I think that's probably where it's going to come from. Is like you meet the right person and they introduce you. Because it's really a person is so much more than their resume. So if you can get in front of someone and show your personality and your communication skills, and you can talk about the things that you've done, it makes such a difference than just seeing a resume online, right? So when you can get that personal connection and an introduction, I think that's probably really helpful success. It's the harder thing to get, but this is what's going to help.
And a question about tech boot camps. Do you know about them? Have you heard from them?
I haven't, no. I don't know much about that, but
She's super.
Okay. There you go.
Okay, great. So what about the interview? So I have gotten, let's say, like, going with our story here, I applied to, how many jobs should I apply to? Or as many as possible? Is there a number?
Yeah, I would keep it to things that are relevant to yourself. Like, if you start applying to positions that are, like if I have a position for a Java developer and then like because we might have a bunch of open positions that the same person applies to all of them, and they're not a developer, but they apply to a project manager, a business analyst, and a Java developer, then you just like, okay, so keep it very specific. So I think, so I wouldn't apply to everything, only the ones that are relevant to you. Or else the same person might get your resume 5 times and it just looks kind of like you're spamming, or they'll probably just delete it. So
good. So let's say I get called for an interview at TELUS, and I'm all excited. How should I prepare?
Sure.
What kind of questions do they usually ask, and what should I do after I've had my first interview?
Sure. So, one thing you want to know as much about the company as you possibly can, because I know employers will always ask questions about, so tell us what you know about us, and if you're like, I don't know, then it's kind of like, it just shows that you didn't prepare for the interview. I think anytime you can talk about like any position you've been in that you've been able to show value, like let's say you did a project that you changed the website and that ended up saving the company, I don't know, $10,000 a month or increased traffic by X amount. If you can show even in your resume and in your interview, specifics about I did this and this is how it benefited the company. That's what people really want to know about, because that's showing your value, not just I can do these skills, and I think that would really set you apart. I think if you go online too and you do interview prep and look at like a lot of companies ask the same like behavioral based questions.
what are your strengths?
Well, yeah, all that stuff. Like you're gonna get those standard questions, so just have a good answer for them. I think they'll want to know whatever their kind of top technical skills. Like, make sure if you're going into a technical interview, they're going to be asking some point blank questions. So doing a nice there's like online tests you can take and stuff just to kind of like get your mind, just get sharp for it. I think so. Spend a lot of time preparing. If you're through a company like ours that got you an interview, we can spend some time with you, and it's kind of nice that way because we can tell you all about the person who's going to be interviewing you, about the types of questions they generally ask, the projects, all that sort of stuff. When you're going on your own, you're just kind of going cold, right? So you want to kind of do as much research as you can. So I think if you know a lot about the company, you're prepared with examples of where you've really truly shown value and stuff like that in your previous roles. And follow up, I think is I think it's always nice to send if you get the person's card and just say, hey, really great to meet you today. I'm looking forward to it. And I think it's good to have a balance between you're keen and you're interested in the position, but you're not like too desperate for it, even if you are. It's good just to kind of play it cool, but it's kind of like dating. Yeah, you want to show them that you're interested, but not calling them out, not desperate, because then it kind of
I'm drunk at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, there you go.
Cool, guys. So you followed up with them. What about this question? You get multiple offers.
Yeah, good place to be. I think that'll come down to a personal preference. I think if you've been looking for a while and you've got a couple good options, I would probably just take the one that's, with that expression, the bird in the hand is better than two in the bush. Is there anything to it?
Dois coelhos na mão. Dois coelhos na mão.
Duas passas na mão. Não, uma passa na mão.
Melhor passa na mão do que dois voando.
Yeah, two birds.
Yeah.
One bird.
There you go. Yeah. So if they're both good and one's in front of you and you're waiting on another, then you might want to go with that one. If you've got both in your hands, I mean, it's really just that's where you want to be. It's a high quality problem, right?
Yeah.
So I would. I mean, you can just do research. There's you guys heard of Glassdoor? It's a site where employees that work for companies can write, their experiences there, so you can check that site out. A lot of times you just get disgruntled employees that want to say bad things, so I would take it with a grain of salt. But that can be helpful too. And also just the general feeling you got with people that you met. I think that's going to be, aside from just the job and the money, somewhere you're going to be going every day and you're going to be dealing with these people. If you got sort of a really good, friendly vibe from them, then that's probably the best spot for you. So it's really personal.
Very cool. I definitely agree. It's all about the culture.
Yeah.
Quick question from the internet. So Douglas asks about IT infrastructure, so data centers, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
How is that in Vancouver, Canada?
Yeah, it's great. There's a big market for that here, especially the larger clients. The TELUS, for example, is a big one. We almost always have a position like that there. We're looking for infrastructure support, infrastructure architect, administrators, systems administrators. So that's also a very in-demand skill set in Vancouver and in Canada.
So with the last kind of 7-8 minutes we have now, before we shut off the webinar and then we can all just chat, let's maybe do something where I want to try and experiment live. If you can tell us if you have a job for a skill. So let's say like Ruby on Rails, if you have a job open for that, yes or no. And then that way people can know to follow up with you after.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So maybe we can just start with Ruby on Rails, or maybe you can just start saying what the open jobs for.
Sure. So
right now.
We've got a lot of front-end developers, web developers, UI developers, a couple QA positions. We've got project management positions. We've got business analysts. We've got a couple network administrators in both Windows and Linux. We've got Java developers. We've got those are probably the main ones, but I think everybody in the room mentioned something that I know .NET. We have, .NET, C# for sure, lots of those. Mobile, lots of mobile, for sure. There's I don't think there's always someone in Vancouver looking for mobile developers, Android or iOS. So lots of that.
Okay. Any other last minute questions? We have about 5 minutes left.
In my opinion, how the next years, how much opportunities you guess can be generated, created opportunities in Vancouver specifically?
Well, like how many jobs a year?
Yeah, it's gonna be
Specifically for
created next year.
That's pretty
the
good
next
question.
years, or example, the next 2 years or 3 years.
I'll tell you that I can't give you a number, but I'll tell you that there'll be more jobs than there are people that can do them.
It's great, huh?
So that's what's happening right now. I mean, in the U.S., a lot of companies are coming here because they've run out in California. They just can't find anybody. So now they're coming here and they're trying to find a new market, and that's pulling even more people out. So we find like most of the people that we're placing are employed. So they're working, and we're kind of like trying to find a better opportunity than they have. So it's a good sign. It's a good sign. Because if there's more, it's the other way around. If there's more people available than there are jobs, then it's tough. So yeah, and I hope that continues.
So what about Scala? Hey Gustavo, how you doing? Gustavo he used to, well, he was in Vancouver earlier.
Okay.
And I just got Vancouver, so he's coming back soon.
Okay.
So hey Gustavo, he's a Scala developer.
Okay.
Anyway, any Scala? Do you know much about that?
Right now, no, I don't have any of that, but it comes up.
Gustavo, learn Ruby. I told you this a long time ago. Just kidding. But anyway, okay, guys. I think let's get any. Okay, some more questions. Most of the job posting program are contracts. Do contractors do the LMIA? What does that mean? LMIA for contractors, is that necessary or no?
Actually, it has to be a contract each time for the LMA.
Yeah.
Contract is like
Usually
it's only 6 months, right?
Yeah,
A year.
Yeah, like what's happening is a lot of companies are starting to hire contractors, but they keep them for like 2 years. So especially TELUS, like I've had people there for 4 years on contract, and especially that's another thing I could probably talk about in Vancouver. Yeah, cool. So proud. Sorry. So, you're starting to see.
Yeah, so actually, this maybe I just want to introduce Isaiah. Isaiah is the founder of Scholar, which is a company that helps teenagers kind of find their career paths. And he's actually did that.
Yeah.
Well, in a long time ago. So he's hired about 2 developers or a designer and developer virtually in Brazil, right? Yeah.
Samuel Castro.
Yeah. And Fernanda is the other one.
Yeah.
For a little while.
Fernanda in Rio.
Yeah. Yeah. So Jay's just we're just finishing up here. Chat, but so employers include ecosystem of this.
Absolutely. The only thing I was going to say is you're starting to see companies go that contract direction because people aren't staying in jobs, especially in technology, for more than 2 years anyways. And a lot of it's so project based that they're seeing that they'll have like a lot of projects coming up and they'll need people, and then all of a sudden that will die down and they'll be carrying all of these employees. So they'd rather just bring them on a contract, and they're probably not going to stay for more than 2 years anyways, and they can just do like 6-month extensions. So, it's something, it's a new group that you'll probably start seeing a lot more of in Vancouver in the next couple years.
Awesome. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah. What about AngularJS?
Yep.
Yeah, that's good for sure. Yeah. I've also been hearing a lot about AngularJS, Node.js. Cool guys. Any other questions before we wrap it up? Alright, todo mundo na internet, muito obrigado para a sua participação. Eu espero que vocês tenham gostado do webinar. Se você precisa de qualquer coisa, how can people get in touch with you?
So, we put my LinkedIn on there. That's probably the best way.
Sure.
Send me an invite. And
Okay.
I'm just got my phone number and email.
Cool. I'm just gonna Google that, and I'll put it in the webinar, and we'll be done. Do you have?
No? Go ahead. What's that?
Where are you from?
Oh, no, where are you?
Yeah. Actually, maybe you and yourself can introduce yourselves to Jay, because we did that before.
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Guilherme. As you can imagine, from Brazil.
Yeah. Seems to be a trend.
Well, I'm a digital marketing professional.
Yeah.
But I'm currently studying at Langaran, post degree in marketing.
Thanks everybody. It's Jay.
I have also experience with e-commerce in Brazil. I used to be an entrepreneur there, running a company. Well,
Cool. And now, how long have you been in Vancouver?
tomorrow we'll complete 3 weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Welcome. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm around VanHack a couple of times already. It's going to be a meeting in December. I'm an iOS developer, but I work at UX guys, and I speak at my husband's in Fridays. That's it, pretty much.
What about you? Oh no, I'm not.
Cool.
I'm from South America.
Oh, yeah.
I'm from Peru.
Oh, awesome. We're
Yeah.
expanding as
I'm
well
trying
to
to,
Spanish, don't worry.
Yeah. I'm trying to get into the tech code.
Oh, awesome, man.
Learn to see coding on the side. So yeah.
You're in the right place. Yeah. So right now it's only Brazil, but soon will be Colombia, Mexico, Peru, Latin America.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, just no Argentinians, right, guys? Anyway, soccer joke. Ciao, pessoal. Um abraço. And add Jay on LinkedIn if you want to chat.